Hello, Liam. Welcome to the 123.3 with MATT podcast. Today, we'll be speaking about how the values between the four pieces of literature we read, our personal value of Catholicism, and the modern American values compare and contrast. Would you like to start us out?
Well, sure thing. Since we're going to be going so far into intertextuality, I was wondering if first we could separate the text and get a basis of understanding of values that are present in each text and then combine them.
All right, that sounds like a good idea. The first story we'll be discussing is the Odyssey by Homer. The Odyssey has many values which are present, such as hospitality and loyalty. However, I feel that the most overlooked value present in the story is self control. For example, in Book 21, lines 420 through 484, we can see that even though the suitors have been ravaging the house and destroying it, Odysseus still had the self control to not outbreak right away and instead waited until the right moment to wreak havoc upon the suitors.
Wow, I've never thought of the story from that perspective. That's a very good point. Please continue on.
Next, we go to Beowulf, and we see that there's still loyalty present in this poem, common between the two stories, but the most prevalent value is definitely honor. This is because in lines 2512 through 2515 in Beowulf's Last Boast, he says, quotes, "Now I am old, but as king of the people, I shall pursue this fight for the glory of winning. If the evil one will only abandon his earth fort and face me in the open." End quote. Showing that the king risked his life and died all for the sake of him being king and for the honor he would gain for his people.
Actually, I think I may have lied, Matthew. We should discuss the similarities because that last line you just said, because it's very similar to how Jesus risked his life and died for all of our sake, like of his people, like how Beowulf risked his life for the sake of his people.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. A lot of the values that we see throughout the stories, especially Beowulf, are extremely based off of Christ. Even the Odyssey does this because if we rewind what I said, it was that Odysseus had to have self-control in order to not wreak havoc over the suitors, that like how Jesus had to have self-control and endure the pain in order to not wreak havoc on the people who hurt and sinned against him. The only difference is that Jesus did not exact revenge, but gave us a chance to restart, compared to Odysseus, who sought revenge. For example, in the New International Version of the Bible, it is seen that Jesus, while suffering and getting shunned upon, will ask for his Father to forgive them because they do not know. Just showing the purity of Jesus compared to the somewhat evil and impurity of those who experience similar circumstances.
Yeah, let's now compare the two texts, Beowulf and the Odyssey.
Just comparing the two values of Beowulf and the Odyssey, the two texts are extremely similar to a sense of loyalty and a call to one's family. However, the main difference between the two is what we discussed earlier, such as the fighting for honor compared to Odysseus fighting for his family. Also, a big difference between the two texts is how they view women. While they both view women as people who are to serve those who enter their home, Beowulf views women as a peace treaty between nations and to stop war. Contrastly, the women in the Odyssey are seen as trees, as bearers of children with a call to raise them, calling attention to the fact that the women in Beowulf have more interaction with the affairs of countries, while in the Odyssey, the women have no connection between government affairs except for the ability to crown a king through marriage.
Now, let me ask you one more thing relating to these two books, and then we'll dive into the other shorter story and article, then ending it all by comparing all four pieces of literature. The question I have is, how do these two books compare to modern American values?
That is an amazing question, Liam. And here's the answer. In the Odyssey, it can be observed that Odysseus is really trying to come back to his family with extreme emphasis on his journey back. However, because America is a melting point, the pot, and so many people are diverse with different cultures, there can be two perspectives on this. There is first the argument that people are opposite of the Odyssey because many people kick their children out of their house at the age of 18, compared to Telemachus, who stayed for many years with his family. There are also people in America who believe in congruency with the Odyssey because many families also try to keep their children with them as long as possible and live with their parents well past their 30s. Also, in Beowulf, there's extreme similarity between the USA's morals because many people in their daily life have to prove their worth just like in their job in order to get a promotion. They need to work hard. The same is present in Beowulf in the fact that there are many boasts, but also in order to be a king, there first has to be a proving successful warrior.
That is really cool how there are so many similarities between Beowulf and the USA morals. Now, let's move on, describing the values present in the sniper and some of the modern USA values.
Sure thing. So in The Sniper by Liam O'Flaherty, one main value comes up, the value of life and death, which ties into the contrast of good and evil. For example, on page 1 of the sniper's face was the face of a student, thin and ascetic, but his eyes had the cold gleam of a fanatic. They were deep and thoughtful, the eyes of a man who is used to looking at death. To start out, the sniper is described as a handsome man with a happy tone until it turns drastically into a sad and evil tone, showing the difference in comparing good versus evil. Then, this is also like the comparison between life and death, being that even though some may seem normal, there's always something wrong with the person that is hidden. Just like Grendel's mother, who's just trying to exact revenge, which is normal in that time period. However, because of the evilness, she is shunned upon, showing that everyone should have some kind of sympathy for others.
Wow, Matthew, that's a very good point. I 100% agree with you on that. Next, can you speak about some of the values present in modern America using the article, Military Recruitment is Down. Why don't young Americans want to join? By the USA Facts team?
Alright, I think we both know what we want to discuss at such a narrow source, the fact that military interest and recruitment are extremely low. For example, on page 2 of the article by USA Facts team, it can be seen that 90% of teens no longer want to join the Army, meaning that 10% want to join the Army. This shows the difference between the mentality of modern America and the past, because the call to war and violence is changed by a full 180. The reason for this is because all of focus has shifted towards education, with a lack of modern defenders of America.
Exactly. This is the complete opposite of Beowulf.
Yes, that was exactly my next point. Beowulf and modern America may have some similar values, such as honor. However, there's an extreme difference with the value of warriors versus educators. Just because many people don't realize the importance of warriors and the freedom and peace we are given until the peace and freedom is taken away, whether through war or evil overtaking the world.
I think you already mentioned this, but I just want to get in one place, which is, how do the Greeks, Anglo-Saxons, and modern American values compare?
That's an awesome question. The Greeks are very focused on a call to family, while the Anglo-Saxons still maintain this kind of belief, but not as strongly. Instead, the Anglo-Saxons focus on honor, which is very similar to modern USA, except that America is divided on the call to family compared to the solid foundation of the Anglo-Saxons and the Greeks. I already went into more detail, like previously, with examples and how they compare, but those are the main points.
Sweet. Now my next question is, if you see many similarities between the values of the text and how the people live out their values.
Well, of course, I see many similarities between the texts, such as the call to family being in every single piece of literature that we have discussed, whether it be a little bit or a lot. I also see that many people live out their lives through doing something and not saying it, because we can always say that we're going to do something, but just never do it. People are always skeptical. There needs to be some kind of proof for everything in life, which is the main way people express their values, through proof.
Okay, now what does the time period have to do with the extent to which each value is portrayed or encouraged?
Well, time is the main aspect which drives the changes in values. For example, the only reason there's not emphasis on a call to warriors in modern America is because we are in a time of peace. However, once or if this changes, warriors will be needed extremely badly, shifting the focus back onto warriors.
Now, how does this compare to the personal values that you believe in as a Catholic?
Well, all these points tie in really deeply, and I truly believe that everyone has their own talents and abilities, and if we as a group use everyone's abilities to the right amount as a society, we will become much better and more advanced. This is the opposite of what happens in the modern day with an almost extreme migration to the most popular gifts that make the most money, even though once this method dies out, it will cause a Great Depression, and it causes extreme times of struggle.
All right, this is the last point. Do you have anything else, Matthew?
Nope, I think we covered everything. Thank you, Liam, for being here, and thank listeners for tuning in to 123.3 with MATT Podcast. Keep thinking intensely and use the gifts you have in life, and everything will be all right. Finally, peace out. Until next time.